What's up, folks? So really quickly, I'm going to do a just a quick little video on December the 4th. We're looking at SPY. So I was at the gym this morning, but I did want to plot some levels for the SPY. I actually put on here, I guess, that I expected that for it to drop since it started dropping first of the day, that a potential price level is down here around 453, 44. It didn't go down that far. It turned around here around 454, 42. But what is at that level? I guess if anything, this here, that descending trend there, that was the start or the end of that descending trend. I know I probably don't draw my trends like everybody else does from the very tips to the very tops. I definitely respect these areas in here when you're looking at this consolidation. But when it comes to moving parabolically, I don't always include the very tip of the parabolic, not on a diagonal, a trend line. You know, when we're looking at horizontal levels like support, resistance, I will do it there, right? Because it respects it here and here. But these aren't great lines to use. I found great points to use when trying to draw diagonal lines. Like I said, my experience, your experience would be different. All right, but what else happened at this point here, 454, 42? I don't think that's significant there. Maybe the top of this this consolidation area here. All right, so that little top there, the bottom here, and it's kind of the, at least the closing area is not respecting all the wicks, but at least the closing area of this this range in here. So something like that. So just trying to get an idea. So, and then this is overall like a consolidation. Excuse me, consolidation range. All right. Oh, and then so what I really wanted to bring to attention today, this video would be fairly short. Like I said, when I got home, I looked at the chart and then the SPY is kind of moving. This is a 15 tick chart. And let's see. Only thing about 15 tick chart, I can't zoom it out that far, but I did start my computer first of the day. So if you look to see what's going on, you see all these numbers here. And then you see all the values at the bottom. The blue lines are the ask sizes and the red lines are the bid sizes. And then the chart just kind of keeps going. And then, whoa, what is that? Now, if you trade penny stocks at all, the only time you'll see something like really strange, bizarre like that is if you have like a gap up or a gap down. When you have a halt going on to the upside or downside, you'll see that the bid and the ask just go like crazy high. Just this chart stop, everything just resets, right? So like I said, the morning is kind of going on. You've got all these values here that are just moving in some type of balance, bids to ask, buys to sales. And then all of a sudden you've got a lot of ask here, right? So everything for the most part is kind of averaging under this horizontal line here, something like that. And I'm saying average, guys, average. All right, and so that number is, I don't know what, right around 2200. And then you get this really high one here, but it's ask. Typically when you see the ask, well, when you see the ask on the low side into demand, I often see that it's then respected. Like if you have high ask over here, you'll see a dip, and then you'll see something else high over here, whether it be ask or time of sales orders, and then it moves up. I don't think that did it here. No, it kept trending down. But what did happen was this here. So like I said, we're averaging this line down here, so around 2200, something like that. And then all of a sudden you have a bunch of asks come in around 100,000, right? 50 times. Not only that, but look at this volume here, right? So this volume on the, and we're looking at the 15 tick chart. This volume here is really high. Is that the 2,900? No, that's higher than that. If that's 170,000 shares. So this is 170. I've got to put that on my other screen. That was here. There was 170,000 shares captured in that transaction there, right? At 1043. 1043. Now I've kind of already marked this one up a little bit. 1043. 1043, right in here. All right, so right around that time when all that, when that high, very, very high bid ask went into effect, the bids went into effect, you also had a huge sweep of shares, right? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, though, it was what? It was headed bearish. So a sweep like that is usually going to it's going to cause an upset, like absorption, right? So if you draw a descending trend line, that time was in here somewhere, right? Yeah, in here somewhere. It was around 1043, something like that. All right, so you know, depending on what time frame you're trading, this is definitely an overall bearish trend. If you want to look in this time frame, we have a lower low here, right? So it's definitely bearish. So whether or not you call this a pullback or what, it definitely changed here. Everything changed. So again, I'm not a professional. I'm not a serious money maker, but what I'm doing right now is just doing a lot of studying, observing trends, seeing what makes the market do what when. So, and then if, like I said, you see that on the 15-second time frame. Okay, now also, just for reference, I do keep the time of sales information going, so you can see here that, you know, at market open, there are 200,000 shares. You know, that's the flush that comes in first the market. But then other than that, you have just kind of regular amount of shares, 4,000, and less than that. This is a filter on this time of sales for 4,000 or more shares. This time of sales over here, I think it's like for 50,000 or more shares, or maybe 40,000 or more shares. So you see that the larger share orders come in 1024, 27, 1043, 1044, 1105. So 903, it did what it did until 1030 and such. And what I'm saying is there's not enough order size big boys in the mix to reverse that downtrend. So that downtrend started here, so it's just going to keep on going until it starts meeting some of this, some of these orders, some of that absorption. And then from 1030, and then by that 1143 mark, now we got, you know, the big players in. We have the real market change. Again, and so on the 15-second chart, I have that one going. This is where the big orders came in. This is where the big orders came in. This is where the big orders came in. Big orders. This one here is the really large order that that we saw, that kind of sweep there. And so, you know, again, I don't know where you would take your entry at, but the way that I'm starting to size the market up and everything is I probably would have waited for this move here. This nice move up. Well, the 200 EMA doesn't mean as much on the 15-second chart, but around this time here where we had that nice solid move up and then it came back, retested on this area, we call that supply and confirmation of this zone and of this big boy. And so from there, you know, it just kind of runs up, right? All right, I like it. Okay, so then I'm just curious of what some of my scripts are showing me. Yeah, nothing that looks terribly interesting, because these scripts are supposed to show you information on, well, it's got both the 1 minute and the 1 minute time frame, so we need to change that. we need to move one of them to the 5-minute time frame. No, we're going to go 15 days back just to get more data, and then we're going to make this the 5-minute time frame. And then these horizontal areas, you see the difference in color there. They should coincide with areas of support or resistance. Scaling is all over the place here. Let's go edit studies. And it kind of changes. I don't know why my scaling changes on its own, but it does. So you can't set that as default because it won't hold it. It won't keep it. All right. Okay, so now volume is much better tamed there. But like I say, without looking all the way to the left hand side of the chart, if you were to just come into the trading day and you just open this up, you see the stock do whatever it did first of the day and the drop, but you notice that this definitely is a range for it to start resisting in. This purple is indicating the larger time frame. All right, and then you got another purple line here. Like I said, and I think this is the area that I was initially looking for. And I was talking with one of my buddies. I think he was targeting a similar area. Maybe I think I went 453 or so in here, and I think he was looking at 452.5 or something. But this is the area that I was looking at initially. And if you zoom out on this chart, that starts back right in here because of that area, and then these touches. So I still technically wouldn't be surprised if it didn't continue to be bullish throughout, and then retraced back down and found this and then went up. But I mean, it's doing okay. It's got potential resistance here and here, right? So it could hit his head. Well, actually, top of this wick, top of this wick, top of this wick. All right, so it's already right in there somewhere. I mean, it's right at a potential resistance difficult to break right now. So we'll see what it looks like by the end of the day. But let's see what Microsoft did. If Microsoft had any huge, yeah, Microsoft had a sell-off and a rejection as well. But again, and man, that's one of the things I learned when trading these large cap stocks, which typically I'm used to looking at the pennies, is that they all do similar things, right? They all do similar things. So whether you're looking at the SPY or you're looking at the NASDAQ 100, the market moves, in tandem for the most part. I mean, there is some descent at different times and with different stocks, but yeah, so let's see. Microsoft is finding a rejection there. Tesla found its rejection. Nvidia found a rejection of the low, but it doesn't seem to be quite as strong. And then Apple. Yep, Apple did a similar thing. And then let's see, Apple, Nvidia, Tesla. Tesla's one that I wanted to look at. Yeah, Tesla did it too. Okay, so all right, but now I wanted to look and see what the volume, what those bid asks happened to do around that time. All right, so we said that the turnaround, at least you see here, the turnaround is what, around 11:05. Let's see what we got on the ask and bid screen. We're getting close. Yeah, look at that. All these are similar. They're all running, even as low as, if you look to the right hand side of the screen over there, you see 6,000, 5,000, as low as 1,000. 1,000. The horizontal line as low as 1,000. And then the maximum, these peaks. These peaks are maximum of what? About 5,100. But now we move our chart all the way over and we go from a max peak of 5,100 up to running up to 28,000. I mean, that is significant. So again, I think that's where you talk about having patience and waiting to see the market give you this information right here, right? And then we also have this big guy right here. Who is this big guy at 1104? 1104 is 84,000 share transaction. Okay, at 9:30, you know, we have the flush there. 9:37, sure. And when I'm saying flush of the of orders coming in, and then 150,000 at 9:37, then 30, 85. 85 is pretty big at 1104. What's happened at 1104? If we look on this 1 minute chart at 1104, well, 1104 is technically the very bottom, right? 1104 is the very bottom, and then this, the high bids, the high ask. And so that's the thing too, right? So that's why I'm even doing this video, to try to determine, are we going to see high ask here? Are we going to see high bids here? Do we just need to see high numbers? Because remember, when we were looking at the SPY, we saw that there was very high bids. It's blue, right? When we're looking at Tesla, it's very high ask. But either way, the chart moved up from there, right? So, and that's why having a pretty good understanding of what's going on with the market in totality will be more beneficial than just trying to have a super strict strategy that you never deviate from, because you're probably going to find that perfect setup once in your life. And that's the time when you're looking at it. And beyond that, it's never going to look quite that perfect. Everything's not going to fall on the same price level. Everything is not going to have the exact same ratio of risk to reward, etc., etc. So, yeah. All right. So we have the high volume here, and then, see, typically I want to do this on the 15-second time frame, which this should be 15-second time frame, and this should be the 1 minute time frame. So I kind of screwed that up when I set it up. But just for my future studies, I need to make a couple of notes here. All right, so because the thing is, once this bid ask goes away, at least on TradeStation or a non-paid account, I don't know that there's an account that you can get unless maybe it's a professional account where it stays, or you can access historical data, which I don't think it is. But this information here with the bid and the ask, this is not historical data. This data shows up while you have the chart open. So you can only see this data when the chart is open. And that's why I leave my computer running, so I can capture this data. But then once I refresh this screen, or once I close the chart down for the night and open it back up, this data will be gone, right? So I've got to make myself notes about what happened. And also do screenshots and that kind of thing too. I asked, let's see, we'll call it 30,000, and the kind of running average was around, say, 2,000. Running average was around 2,000, so we'll call that 15 times. And if you recall, I think the 15 times asked. And if you recall, over here on the SPY, it was around 20 times. So 15 times for Tesla. You know, do you think that's a coincidence? That's the place where the market reacted? No. All right, so let's see what happened with NVIDIA, if a similar thing happened or not. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, so Nvidia. All right, so same thing. We're going up to the tick chart. Okay, so I do have it set up correctly here. So Nvidia on the 15-second time frame. We're just going to enlarge this and then see where. All right, so around the 11:40 time when everything kind of reverse in this general area here, Nvidia didn't seem to have the same kind of a response, right? So the bid and the ask here at the height is around 5,500, but we had 5,500 here. I mean, we had 5,500 throughout pre-market, which is kind of crazy that this is operating the same. But if you look just specifically from normal trading hours, which starts here, so we would just kind of block all this out. We'll get a color there. We'll just say that's red because we're not paying attention to that since it's pre-market hours. If you did that and then you just look from here and you look from here and you say, oh, I see what's going on for the day. I see what's going on for the day. Ooh, a little peak. Okay, I see what's going on for the day. And then all of a sudden, bam. Now that's more significant, right? If you're not paying attention to what's going on to the pre-market hours, which I don't know if that is the right thing to do or not, but just kind of looking at seeing what happened at least on today, that would make sense. So I will make a note of that. But all right, so the average that's going on here on this bid and ask is around this mark. So around 550. Okay, so we went from 550 to this top peak here, which is about 5,500. So what's that? 10 times? Okay, so this is about a 10 timer. Oh, 10 times S. Okay, and then we're just going to put a box just to show that there was a large amount of bids that came in there. Okay, where did the large orders come in at? We didn't really get a lot of, and you know, like I said, I'm just kind of observing and everything, looking at doing a lot of technical analysis. I don't know if Nvidia is not a huge mover, if it's just not that active, but we don't really see any really high orders, right? So like when we're looking at over 30,000 shares is what I'm looking for. The only one that I really saw here was around 30,000 shares at 12:30. But if we look back in the day, so now I'm just going to look back into that 11:30 or so, 11:40 or so time when there was the pivot. I mean, there were some 4,000 shares, 5,000 shares, 7,000. Nah, I mean, this just isn't reacting like the rest of them did, or like SPY and Tesla did. So, order sizes not very, I'll just put not extreme, relatively. Aren't. Okay, all right, so then last thing I'll do here is, so the price level here is about what, 450.12 or so, something like that. We're just going to draw a line over here, and then we're going to open this up and then see where it corresponds to on other charts. But now, again, if you look at Nvidia, I mean, it's definitely it's having a little bit more trouble, if you will. Definitely in that downtrend, making lower lows. There's a low, there's a lower low. It's making a lower low for sure. So, I mean, it would have to, and if you say that this is a lower high, and I mean, but this is pre-market, but in order for it to really kind of break out of this downtrend, it'd have to come above this to make a higher high, and, or put in a higher high, or put in a lower high, go lower, and then put in a higher high. So either way, it doesn't look like it's done. But if we zoom out, that level there was around 450.44. All right, it corresponds to this level, which, I mean, doesn't look super fantastic. I mean, you do have these couple bottom rejections there indicating support, and then you have another one there. However, there's not a, you know, when you find good strong support, for one, you don't go that far without coming back, but you'll typically find that consolidation, boom, 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 hitting the resistance, and then it'll jump over, and then it'll come back down, support, 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 and then it'll shoot off. That's a stronger level of support for sure when it happens that way. But All right, so yeah, this is also close to. All right, so at least it has some other lines. It has some other days, some other points where that price level was respected. Okay, but like I say, Nvidia is not as exciting to me, which is recently I've been looking at Tesla a lot, but at one point I was looking at Nvidia quite a bit, and now just being able to compare all of them, it just doesn't look as fun, as interesting as a bunch of the rest. All right, so let's see what happened on Apple. So we'll just kind of zoom by and go to the beginning of the day. Beginning of the day, we're averaging what, right? The bids and the asks, the order sizes that are put on the books, the limits anyway, are around 400 or 500. That sounds like Nvidia. I mean, low numbers kind of like 400 or 500. So that's Apple. Okay, and then this one shot way above it, so up to 8,000 from 400 or 500. Well, that's 700, right? No. Yeah, that was 700. All right, so this one shot way up pretty good. You got to be careful of stuff like that. This one, there's a lot of hesitation in this area here, so I'm just going to block that out and see what it looks like when we expand. Yeah. So I mean, we definitely have some times where the bids and the asks, at least the bids are much higher than the running average. So we've got some spikes. But now this is the spike here that we're noticing on the other charts, right? So this spike here. And where is this spike? This spike is at 45,000. 45,000. Okay. We can't zoom out anymore, so let's maximize the screen, and then we're going to go back over and see, does anything come close to 45,000? Those peaks there, right in the middle of the screen at the bottom there, that's around 11,000. And then we have the red one, is the ass, that's around 10,000. A little bit lower, 8,000. Now we're hitting about 9,000. Now we're back down to 5,000. So yeah, so that one peak, 50,000, that is huge compared to the other ones. The other ones were maxing out around what, 10, 11,000. So even though the running average was down here around 700, the peaks, the spikes were coming up around 10,000. But then the big boy, the game changer, came in around not that one. Game changer came in around 50,000. So gosh, man, 50,000 compared to the running average of 700. Eesh. I mean, if we eat 70 times, is that a 70 timer? Oh, somebody can check my math on that. I'm not going to slow down to check the math on that, but I'm going to put 70 times. 70 times. So yeah, so 700 divided by we'll do 50,000 divided by 700. What's the math on that? Yeah, I think that's going to be close to 70. 700. Yeah, because we're not 7,000. All right. So, and that, yeah, that was here. That was this bid here. And then let's see what happened on the order sizes. Order sizes started 939, kind of flushed in. 948, got more, 1128, 1204. All right, so we didn't have, unless the orders were smaller and just more numerous. Let's see, let's drop down to that 1120, 1130, 1140 range. Okay, so 1120, we got 40,000 shares, 50,000 shares, which shows up over here. 1128, 1130, 5, 4, 12,000. Now we're getting 1137, 1140. We got 11,458. So, I mean, there's definitely a cluster of orders, but that same kind of general density of orders that size, 9 you know, 9, 4, 5,000 looks to be fairly uniform throughout. Do have a nice 50,000 one here at 1204. 1204. So where is my box at? Should have put that on the 15-second chart. All right, so this happened around 11:16. I'm gonna put that down here on the 15-second chart, 11:16. Because typically when I save and I review these charts, I'm looking at the 15-second chart, 15-second chart, 1 minute chart, and that just disappeared. Is that because I didn't? There it is. Huh. Down here lower. Nope. Interesting. 70 time bids. All right. Okay, that didn't disappear, but the box did. So I don't know. And you see, it does show up here on the 15-second time frame. The only thing about that, you see here, if you look at the 15-second time frame, it looks like if you look all the way over to the right, which we have our value, right? It looks like that number is around 25,000 at the max. It looks like it's around 25,000, which if you go to the tick time frame, you can see that it's actually closer to around 50,000. The problem is the reason why I run the tick chart as well as the second chart. The problem is on a 15-second time frame, what happens is the ask or the bid size that gets set as that bar's information is the last value when the bar exits. You see right now, you see it's moving. All right, so it's moving, it's up and down, it's up and down. But when that bar closed, that's where that stopped at. So this number could go up, it could spike up really high to like 40,000. And that would show that maybe there's a lot of people interested right away, or that would show that maybe somebody put in an order right away. But either way, if the value of that, if that 40,000 limit order gets eaten up or takes shares out of the picture, and that goes away, and now it's back to 700 shares on the bid book, then when this closes, that's going to read 700 shares, share size for the bids. It's not going to read that 40,000. So in order to capture every single tick, every single bid that comes in, every single ask size that comes in, you got to move your ticks down. You got to have your candles much lower. You got to put your candles on the 1 second time frame, or you got to put your ticks on the lower tick time frame. So that's why, like I said, I run the ticks, I run the seconds, but I also run the time and sales to see who's doing what. So I've kind of got a little bit of a method to the madness, but I'm trying to assimilate it all together. So, like I said, we were able to identify that we had. Let me zoom out. Yeah, same general time frame, right? So, and it was actually right in here. So we're just gonna slide this over. It's locked. Unlock it. Put that there. All right, so it's right in here. That that high bid size, right? So that is around 11:16. So then if we go to the 1 minute time frame, 11:16, boom, right in here. I mean, could you have picked a better bottom? I mean, I can't. I've been working with this stock stuff for a long time, and I cannot pick a better bottom than what the stock picked itself. And then so I'm just trying to pay attention to what's going on. Man, that's beautiful. All right, so on the 1 minute time frame, that is, we're gonna go back to the 15-minute time frame and see what that looks like on Apple in terms of relative support or other significant levels that would indicate why that also works on Apple. And it may not work for a long time, but it's good enough for this much range, right? All right, so probably what I'll do is in my stock in a spreadsheet, I'll probably start documenting what the ratio was here, what the so the running kind of average versus the peak of that. Let's do this. So what this running average is, 700, whatever, and then what this peak is, 50,000, and then put that into the spreadsheet. And then at the end of the day, I want to see how far this runs, right? I want to see how far that runs. Whether you got to base it on something. You got to base it on, average true range. So the true range of the candles. You got to base it on just the a percentage price of the instrument, but you got to base it on something, and then just kind of look and see how far that goes, because it's not going to go forever. I mean, we know that, and there's a lot of overhead resistance as well, and this has overhead resistance too here, right? So at the bottom of this wick, at the bottom of this move here, so something like that. So Apple does have some trouble to continue moving straight overhead, and again, it's generally still, at least in the short term, downtrend, and maybe even a longer term downtrend, right? Okay, so again, it's not going to go on forever, but for a day trader trying to make that much range, pips, ticks, points, dollar, percent, whatever, for a day trader, that's what you want. You want that inflection point. For somebody who's looking to hold it long term, that probably won't mean as much to you, because by the end of the day, that's going to be poof, and it's going to, cut back through it. But let's see. Let's do this on the 25 day. Okay, and then so we'll say, yeah. So if we observe that this is the bottom there, and then we draw a line across from that, if it were significant enough, then we would, looking back, it's hard to wake up at 9:30 and look forward and say, oh yeah, it's gonna bounce there, but looking back, we say, oh well, there's the bottom there, and I don't know, I don't really like that, the top of the consolidation. I don't really like any of those either, but I mean, you could say that and that if you called that a general consolidation range, but I mean, I don't love those. So that is there any more significant? No, not really, not for Apple. Okay, so we did SPY. No, we did Tesla, Nvidia, Apple. Did we do Microsoft? So we open up the tick chart again. All right, and then go over and again, let's see. We know for sure that Microsoft at least had a significant swing here. That is around this 11 o'clock time frame. So we'll go back out. Scrolls over on the 15 tick chart. Scroll over and see what happened around that time frame. Well, we're here. Right? So 1046, 1049, 1050. Okay, so yeah, so a similar type situation, but on Microsoft it's not as pronounced, right? Because even you have this large one here, which is 10,000. This bid size here is 10,000. If you go back, it had a high ask here. Yeah, high ask here at 956. But I often see these high numbers show up here, like I said, at pivots. Okay, so this one showed up here. I mean, like at the top of this move, at least there was a pullback before it went again, but this showed up at the top. This one here showed up at the bottom, right? It was trending down under the 200 EMA. It showed up at the bottom, and then it moved up, right? And then from moving up, we get a high number of asks. It's over the 200 EMA. It moves under the 200 EMA. So, you know, those are definitely those inflection points. This one here didn't seem to do very much. So that's why I said, I mean, they're not foolproof, but I'm beginning to see some patterns being created with them. All right. Yeah, so these spikes here, 10,000. This one is 10,000. And we're seeing those 10,000 spikes. Let's zoom out right there. We're seeing those 10,000 spikes. The average, just kind of that low number that's kind of trailing along. That average is, if we draw a line, I'll draw it right there at the top, because we do have we got a lot of spikes on Microsoft. And maybe I have to make a note on that, right? Because we didn't have as many spikes on some of the other stocks. And so if you have more of these spikes, they can certainly throw you off. And maybe Microsoft is just one of those stocks that, you know, they tend to throw you off. And maybe all of them do that. They just do it in rotation. But on today, it's definitely Microsoft. So if you look at this number, is around 912. The average of this, the bid and the ask down here. So a number of 10,000, that's roughly 10 times. So we go over, and we're still seeing that 10,000 number being held up, at least for these spikes. The spikes, so the running number is around 1,000. The spikes are around 10,000. Going over, that one respected 10,000 as well. Those are a little bit lower. 1157. Now at this point, the rest of the market already kind of retraced. I think it was around 1140 or so. And maybe that's why it didn't, because it looks like Microsoft probably took off before the rest of the market did. Rock bottom. No weakness, bullish NASDAQ. If the GDP positive, Fed cuts, hikes, jobless claim, more government promising oil, petrol price cuts. So crude oil expected to drop under 65, then all global market to the moon. Maybe rock bottom. And like I said, looking at the SPY, I mean, it looks like it's trying to cut loose. Where are we at here on the daily? Whoa! What'd you do, volume? Okay. That's what I said. Trade Station, man. Every now and then they kind of do their own thing. All right, so yeah, I mean, this is the daily, right? So let's go weekly. So I mean, it's trying to cut through that pullback. You know, still got some more to go before to the moon, but why not, right? I mean, it looks pretty strong now, but it also hit these shoulders here, and this other time point here, right? So I don't know how many people are truly bearish at these points. I mean, this was a little bit of a pullback, but you know, the volume wasn't super significant, and it wasn't a straight flush down. This here, I mean, this was a nice little retracement down from this area here. But this top here doesn't look super menacing. It doesn't look like, you know, a straight wick up and down like it's completely done. So you might be right, rock bottom. You know, it might cut through those cut through those highs and try for a new strength in the market. All right, let's see, where were we at? We were on Microsoft, and I was curious why Microsoft doesn't look as consistent as the other charts. I mean, none of these other charts, right? So we've looked at everything but the Nasdaq. So we looked at SPY, Tesla, Nvidia, and Apple, and all of them were fairly consistent with having that having those really high bid and ask sizes to show up and then change the market. But the market changed here on Microsoft, but it didn't seem to coincide with the change in bid and ask sizes. So we say that's the area there, and then we've got our, oh, we got too many lines there. Yeah, this was not one, although it did hit that bottom wick there. And then this just wicked through this area, so eesh. Microsoft don't want to have anything to do with you. Nothing to do with you. All right, so going back to the tick chart, we were just kind of back in this range, and Microsoft low, its low was of the day. I need to put an indicator on the chart that shows the low of the day. All right, so the low of the day and the pivot was right around 1055. So right around here. All right. Like I said, you have these spikes here, but they're not significantly higher than anything that we saw earlier in the morning, right? And they're actually lower. They're actually lower. We have a number of them within this range. So I don't know, maybe if I don't know how I want to notate that. Okay, I'm just going to put multiple. We go like 8K ask bids. I mean, because think about it. At the end of the day, I mean, that's fine if you have one huge number here. The bid and ask is like 100,000 that just sweeps everything. Or if you have multiple, I don't want to say multiple small ones, but smaller ones. These are still significant in size. They're just multiple all in one area, right? And so how close is that area? That area is from 1050 to 1054. That's a 3-minute span. And again, these are the tick candles, so it does not go by time. It goes by number of transactions for ticks. So if you go here, even when you have these spikes, you didn't have 5 large ones in a grouping. Even here, you have one, you have another smaller one. But even if you were to think maybe these smaller ones are significant, there's not that many. There's only 1, 2 in there from this time. 9:55, 9:50. All right, so that's within 1 minute. So, you do have a lot going on right there. But it's also at the top of the move, right? So if you're looking for a bottom, you're looking for a turnaround, for a pivot, you're not looking at the top of a move. You're looking at the bottom of the move. So you might be looking here toward the bottom of a move, right? And so you got some indication here that this level went straight up. This level was likely to be supported. Wasn't enough to turn it around right then, though. Not at 950. Okay, but somebody was willing to support that. Somebody was willing to support that, or at least throw you off. But like I said, just one spike there, and it's 11,000. Now, like I said, if you would use if you use some of the rationale that we were able to find on SPY and Tesla, Nvidia, Nvidia and Apple, that 10 times, 15 times the size of this bid ask was relevant, then you might say, you know what, this is relevant, because the average move here of the bid and the ask, the average is about 1,000. Okay, so then when you get this high spike here, 10,000, and it's, you know, it's 10 times, then you say, okay, well, maybe this is significant. And let's face it, I guess it was significant, right? Because yes, you got a little bit of a stop out here, but it moved. How far up did it move? That wasn't, okay. It moved up significantly. That was the largest move of the morning thus far. Let's put it that way. That was the largest bullish move of the morning thus far. And it happened after this. Following a double bottom or a retest of this area. So yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna kind of look at today. I think I looked at that on the larger time frame, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, but we didn't zoom in here. So that is 362.84. Oh, well, no, that was right in here. Okay, so then this area is essentially resistance, later turn support, right? So at least this is a consolidation area where it was once resistance, and now it's at least turning support for a short period of time. I don't know. I mean, it looks decent though. Depending on how far it moves up, if it comes back, I mean, this wick here could come back into play. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys are making smart decisions with your monies, and I will chat with you later. Hopefully we can continue to conquer this market together. All right, this has been me. I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace.